once it was removed, it kind of felt better, even though, yeah, did it put a financial strain? Yes, but I'll take a financial strain over mindset dump any day, because you know what? I can work my ass off to get out of that. Like, it doesn't even, honestly, like, to say financial strain, I feel like all the people that need to sit in my chair to make that not be a thing, sit in my chair. But the mental capacity that you need to carry someone else's really heavy life just really fucking sucks. And it is kind of nice to be free of some of that. Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair. Hey there, it's me, Jennifer, from the Curly Girls Obsessions, which you are either watching or listening to right now, coming to you live from our office, which is now also acting as my son's bedroom. We kind of had a little snafu over the weekend, and his stuff got moved upstairs into the office, so that's what the crazy background is. But enough of explaining on that. So, this morning, when I was getting ready for this podcast, I said to my husband and my daughter, I'm like, if you could think of a topic that I could talk about today, what would it be? And it's not that I always am random about what I discuss. It's just that things have been really busy lately. And I haven't had a lot of time to prepare for podcasts. So a lot of them, are coming off the cuff right now. And both of them, interestingly enough, said aches. My husband said aches and pains. And my daughter said pushing through the pain. This is so funny. I keep looking over there because my cat is inside the room on one side of the French door and my dog is on the other side of the French door, and both are kind of crying to, one wants to go out, one wants to come in, all the things, whatever. So anyways, and why would they say this? Okay, so 3.5 weeks ago, my husband and I went on a road trip. And it was like an 8-hour trip, and we drove. And I brought like my little airplane neck pillow so that if I fell asleep, my head would not be hanging down forward, right? Because 8 hours, as much as I love to say that my husband and I will chit chat the whole time, we're not. I'm going to fall asleep. And so I get back from this road trip, 8 hours there, 8 hours back. And by the way, the road trip was the day after Alyssa's last day at the salon. If you've watched previous podcasts, you know that she moved out to Arizona, one for a change of scenery, and her long distance boyfriend lives there. And she just wanted to experience life somewhere else other than the Midwest. And I was fully supportive of it because I kind of feel, in some senses, responsible for when she wanted to go on this trip to a spa and she was hemming and hawing. And I was like, Alyssa, just go do this for yourself, right? And that's when she met him. So a long time coming. I mean, she was head over heels over him, and he is a great guy. So no wonder, right? Like after so many months, it was almost, I feel like it's just a little over a year. She's like, I got to go be with him full time. And I love Arizona, so I want to try this out. And I was like, of course you should. Like, of course you should, right? And so she had told me that, and then no sooner did two other stylists in the salon tell me that they thought it would be fun to be entrepreneurs in 2026, and they wanted to go open their own suite. So with Alyssa, obviously full support. The other two, it was just such a vulnerable time in my life and with my family. I was more shocked, I think, and that's probably what made it really hard, right? Not to mention, like, you spend a lot of time with these people, and as the owner of Adored Salon, I spent a lot of time mentoring them to grow their career, teach them curly hair extensions. It's interesting because they went and got certified in the technique in which we use in the salon years ago, right? Like, I sent them and paid for half of it, and they paid for the other half. And then they came back and they spent 3 weeks with me learning all the techniques, because since I had gone to that training, the company's been bought and sold several times. They don't even really teach the same method anymore. So, but having that certification is golden because people still respect it. So, whatever. They got the certification, but then they came back because they were like, so much that they do is different, and hence 3 weeks of spending time with me, having clients that were models, and me teaching them as much as I could in that span of time about cutting curly hair and styling curly hair and doing all the things curly, and also with extensions, right? And then when you talk about curly extensions, 100%, yes. Did I mentor them? Yes. 100%. Did I teach them everything I knew? Yes. I even brought them along with me to classes, right? So, interestingly, right, when you do all that and you're a part of their life in such a heavy way, it is hard when they say that they're moving on. And, clients say, oh, well, you got to feel good about the fact, that you mentored them so well that they wanted to move on and do their own thing. Yes, all fine and well. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, business is business. And when you pour your heart into someone and soul and knowledge, it is hard when they leave. And when it's abrupt, like it was, it's even harder. And then once that sets in, the daily aspect of the missing friendship is hard too, So the aches and pains comment, the road trip comment. After the road trip, my neck started hurting, and it progressively got worse. And it's under my right shoulder blade in the back, and then it shoots up, and like with reaching with my right arm, it has been excruciatingly painful. And when I sleep, the pain goes away. When I wake up, I feel good. When I sit down, it kind of comes back. And then at work, obviously, I'm reaching and pulling all day long just to do my job. And so for the last 2 weeks-ish, I would say, it's like screaming at me, screaming. And I said to myself yesterday, I'm like, gosh, I wonder if this is just the pain from pushing through the hardship showing up, right? I would say probably since the beginning of March, if I was tense, that would be an understatement. I obviously had to work more inside of the business behind the chair than I was, because of course you're trying to maintain all the clients as possible, and Adored Salon gets so many new clients on the regular for curly haircuts and styles, the curly experience, curly hair extensions, and there's only so much volume that can be produced if you're working only, I think I physically worked behind the chair 17 hours before March 1st. And so And then Jackie, she's a mom, she has kids, she has to have daycare provider, her mom has to come and watch our kids or her husband. So it's not even like she can give more. And thank God we had Mia, like in the start of her mentorship when all of this started happening. And she is amazing. I could not ask for more from her. Like, that girl, she took it, she ran with it, and she produces things that just have me in awe. And she's going to be going to get curly certified in September. I just love her, and she's already proven herself to be amazing with curly hair, and having that certification is going to help. Hopefully when she comes back, I don't have to spend 3 weeks training her, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because I know how this education has evolved, and I know what people come into Adored Salon looking for. So, and say what you want about that and me and my view on it, but I've been told, like, oh, you're stuck in your ways, like this is the way curly hair has evolved, blah blah blah. And I wouldn't be stuck in my ways if people didn't come in hour after hour, day by day, wanting what they see online and loving that silhouette. Nobody that ever walks in our salon and says that they want this big bobblehead, which is what's trending on social media. But with these bangs, like, I just envision the backs of these heads looking like they're walking backwards in a wind tunnel because the hair is so full facing forward that there cannot be anything left in the back. Like, no. And dry cuttings also all over social media. I've kind of discussed this too, where I don't believe in that. And I was trained to cut curly hair wet for the specific reason that you could see the curls in their truest form, and you can see the wave patterns better than if the hair is brushed out, stretched out, and dry. And we're slide cutting them. We're not cutting straight layers. So it becomes this interesting, like, push and pull. And the educators from the company tell me, well, we've had to evolve to attract, younger stylists. And what's so interesting is that if you have a unique value proposition that can deliver results, you're going to see the benefits time over time over time over time, which is what I find interesting when I tell you that clients come in every day, new clients, because of what they see on our website or what they see on our social media, and they love the results. So as far as evolving over time, yes, have curly styles gotten fuller than what they once were 16 years ago when I first got certified? Yes, because the way that we were thinking about that thought process was to have a really set curly style that lasts for days versus a lot of fullness. The original thought process was that the style would break up over time, and now we are seeing much fuller looks online, and I feel like we're seeing the much fuller looks because you're seeing the result of the breaking up of the gel cast over time, or who knows, right? It just is what it is. But yes, can that evolve? The styling, yes, 100%. But at the end of the day, if the cut isn't right in curly hair, you're always going to see shelves, which are the result of a straight layered haircut or sharp lines. What brings sharp lines to curly hair is when you cut above your fingers and you cut straight versus the way that we do it, which is slide cutting under our fingers, which creates movement and softness, right? It like, if you sit there and you think about it, you wonder, You know, a lot of curly cuts will say that you can't wear them styled straight because it's going to look choppy. Well, it's going to look choppy because a lot of people aren't using a comb and they're cutting, like they're using their fingers to rake through it, and then they're cutting over their fingers. So in one essence, when they're using their fingers, they're not bringing the hair to where it needs to be fully in some areas, and then they're cutting straight layers, straight lines on these sections of hair. It can be detrimental to a curly girl. Do a lot of our clients smooth out their hair? No, I would say the majority wear it curly, but if they do smooth out their hair, it looks stunning. I always say it looks like a hologram, like you can't see start and stop lines, and that's what makes it so magical. And so when it comes to the training and what they're teaching now, what they were teaching 6 years ago, 8 years ago, is not what they were teaching 16 years ago, because of what is trending, versus forget the fact that what works is always going to work, right? Like, you know, we know how to learn how to ride a bike. You got to get on it, and you got to do it, and you got to pedal it, and you got to push with your feet, right? It's always going to deliver the same results if you're brave enough to get up after the failure of falling, and you keep working at it. It's going to be perfect. Same as with curly hair. After 16 years of knowledge in curly hair and what I bring to the table and what I can deliver, is the most perfect curly cut time and time again. It just is, because it works. And it's not because it's on trend. It's not because, like, I don't know, it just freaking works. That's all I can say. It works. And the original founder herself put hours and hours of work into that education, that cut, and making it so perfect, and is essentially what keeps people coming back to us time after time. So, okay, enough on the curly hair, back to the pain, back to the shoulder pain, and discussing about how pushing through the pain has probably caused this pain in my shoulder. Now, also contrary to public opinion today on social media, where it totally downplays the hustle culture, right? Like, I mean, I could see post after post about having boundaries and, you know, not being in hustle mode and this, that, the other. But I'm going to tell you, as someone who owns 3 different businesses, has worked 35 years in an industry that is very unforgiving, hustle culture, you know what? It's like in seasons. I can say that honestly. Sometimes your business needs you to hustle. Sometimes your family needs you to hustle. Sometimes, you know, sometimes your extended family is requiring more of you, which is exhausting you. Even if you have boundaries, like, I mean, it's a fallacy to think that you're going to get anywhere in life without hustle. And I mean, hate me if you want to. I really don't give a shit, but it's the honest to God truth. If you're strong enough to be a business owner and you're going to work through those hard times, it is going to require hustle of you. Your employees are going to need different things from you at different times. Your, you know, the space in which you operate your business is going to need different things from you at different times. Your scheduling system, your credit card, like, I could go on and on for days about what requires a lot out of you and would get me to the point of being so tense that I don't even know that by the end of the day, my shoulders are literally up to my freaking ears, because I've had so many questions coming at me, and I'm trying to do the clients and maintain the social presence, the emails, the, like, all the things that go into the business, right? You kind of, when, at least for me, when chaos erupts, I go into worker bee mode, be it because I need to get through, or like I just got to do what it takes type of a thing. And it, when you're trying to get from point A to point B, you're like, okay, I know how much this salon does in revenue in a week, and I need to maintain as much of that as possible. You're only working 17 hours a week behind the chair, Jen. Regardless of what you do on your off time, you're going to have to kick it up a notch, and you're going to have to work more behind the chair, and you're going to get more questions coming at you throughout the day, right? Because I'm in the environment of all the people that are asking me lots of questions, versus when I'm not behind the chair and I'm working on things from home. Like if they text me, I don't have to respond right away, right? But if we're in person, I got to have a response for them. And sometimes that can be the most exhausting part of being a business owner, is when your team is like, this happened, that happened, this happened, and you're trying to do your client, right? And trying to give your client 100% of the focus, and your team is asking about questions about other things. And I would love to say that I tell them, like, okay, when I'm with a client, I need you to wait, right? We need to come back to that. A lot of the times in a hair salon, the client, the things that you think can wait, can't wait, because the client's on the phone waiting for a response, right? So, it just is what it is. So, yes, do I think that this pain has come in my back at this time from what? From the beginning of March to right now we're in July. So like 5 months of insane hustle, physically, mentally, and just personally, like all the things and it's interesting because the year of the horse, we're like in the year of the horse. 2025 was the year of the snake, and 2026 is the year of the horse. And it's so interesting, again, if you're woo-woo and you follow these things, like my horoscope is like, all these doors are going to open, this portal, that portal. You've got, Jupiter in whatever, and blah, 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 right? So it kind of explains why all this chaos is erupting. And every time I read one of these things, because it pops up on my social media like crazy, because I always click on it, because I'm always interested in what the stars above have to say. And it's always like, good is going to unfold from this. Good, there is going to be things that come out of this that are going to fill you up 10 times more than what it ever did before. But do know that these are big life decisions moving in, right? So I also think that kind of puts yet another layer of pressure on, because you're constantly like watching in the background for what these things are going to be, right? Well, I can tell you that these things have shown up in more ways than one in my life in the past 5 months, right? 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is. And some have kind of led me to be better. There were things that prior to March 1st that I was helping carry the load of that were not my responsibility because of certain friendships. And once it was removed, it kind of felt better, even though, yeah, did it put a financial strain? Yes, but I'll take a financial strain over mindset dump any day, because you know what? I can work my ass off to get out of that. Like, it doesn't even, honestly, like, to say financial strain, I feel like all the people that need to sit in my chair to make that not be a thing, sit in my chair. But the mental capacity that you need to carry someone else's really heavy life just really fucking sucks. And it is kind of nice to be free of some of that. And when, June 20th, which was the Saturday that Alyssa left, there was like a lot of build up to that. And she, I remember like thinking to myself, oh, I just want this to come because the pain of her leaving is going to be so hard and I just want it over with, right? And it wasn't because I didn't want her there. It was because in my mindset, I'm like, I got to get over this hump of how hard this is going to feel, how much this might hurt, right? And, but when that day came and when, we were at her going away party, her mom said so many nice things to me. And Alyssa did too, prior to, and vice versa, me loving them, right? But when that pain came, it was pretty heavy. Because what I realized was Alyssa always was the bright, smiling, shining star that she needed to be. There's not much that can get that girl down. Like, she really and truly puts her best foot forward every day. And I know that's what I miss of her the most, seeing her on a daily basis, is knowing that when I would get to that salon, she would show up 100% for me and have that smile on her face, right? So now I got to be that person, right? Like, I mean, I would say that I came in there and do come into Adored Salon a lot with a positive attitude because it is one of my very happy places. But when you reflect on that, when you look to someone to remove any thickness or heaviness in the space when things are happening that are hard or heavy, personally, dynamics within the salon. And even though I said feelings got lighter and things did get lighter and it did make it easier, there was always this impending end of her leaving. And, as people, as friends, we all know how hard that can be and how it can create these picks and pains that you're just working through, right? You're creating them unknowingly because you're carrying yourself through that hard season. And interestingly enough, when I came to that realization and I voiced it, which was yesterday, that pain under my shoulder blade moved to my arm. And had I not had a heart scan 2 weeks ago that said that my heart was perfect, I might have thought that I was having a heart attack. And I'm like, okay, now this needs to be working itself out of my body because I'm recognizing where this is probably coming from. And now it needs to leave. It needs to leave because we're moving forward. We've gotten through the hard, that impending date of Alyssa leaving. It came, it went. We're still chatting all the time, of course. And, hopefully she comes back and does a pop-up weekend here and there. We've talked about that and it is a great possibility. So once she gets settled, we'll see about that. But yeah, I really feel like recognizing the source of the hurt and the anguish and just the getting through the hard, pushing through the pain, what that does to us. Yes, mentally, but physically, what keeps the score is your body. It's what holds on to everything. Even if you think it's just in your head, it's in your cells, it's in your bones, it's in your muscles, because you are holding yourself in a different way. You are carrying yourself in such a different way, and it's only natural. It's only natural, right? To accept it, learn from it, and move on from it. So, on this episode of the Curly Girls Obsessions, discussing pushing through your pain, do I wish it wasn't a thing? 100%. Is it a thing? 150%, 200%? Yes. But utilizing tools to make it better and just recognizing how things show up make you, I think, and myself, a better person in the future because of it. And yeah, I think that this was a good learning period for me. I needed to go through it. I needed to feel it. I needed to understand it. And you know what? Maybe I was avoiding it, and this back pain was like God saying to you, girl, you really need to recognize this as a moment, and you need to address it, and then you need to move forward so you could shed that past and move on to the fruitful future. So, thank you for listening today. If you don't subscribe, click the link below to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, it's a nice little bell. Click it. If you're on Apple Podcasts, it's the nice little check mark above that says following. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.